Hey there viewers, it's Charlie. I'm back again with another Transformers review, and today's review is going to be on Classics Starscream. Now, right off the bat, you can see this guy's colors are different from how Starscream normally looks, because we got red on the wings and the tail fins instead of them being gray. And I think this is supposed to be a blue color. And speaking of blue, we've got this blue bit right in the middle. So, even though this is a very accurate jet mode, the colors are a bit inaccurate. Now, there is a recolor of this figure in the Universe toy line that does make him way more accurate with the colors. However, that version of the figure is way more problematic. I'm pretty sure the wings are way more fragile, and it's a bit more, well, it's a bit more loose than this version, so I decided to go with this version. Another reason is, well, if I ever get Earthrise Starscream, it sort of don't look identical, just with one looking smaller than the other. I don't have Earthrise Starscream, but if I ever do. Besides, I actually like this kind of color scheme. I just think it looks cool, okay? But that's just my opinion. You know, if you don't like these colors, then I totally understand. Now let's have a look at the figure. 360. Here you can see the missile launchers underneath the wings, and of course they do fire. If we can do it. There we go. I don't want to fire at the camera anymore because, well, now that my phone's different from how it used to be, I have to tilt it down when I look at the alternate mode, so it's a bit more easy to knock down than it used to be, so that's why I don't fire at the camera. But yeah, the missiles do fire. The back of the thrusters. Got the wings, which are red. And yeah, the top. Here we can see the jet's cockpit section. There is no one in it though, but it's still detailed, which is cool. We do have a bit of black though, and you'll see why in the transformation. This bit is, well, it's all rubbery, so if you like fly it into something at high speeds, it's only gonna slightly hurt instead of fully hurt. Oh. So, yeah, you can't really poke your eye out, sadly. And I couldn't show this with the other Classics figures, but look! It's a rub sign! I did not add this myself, but this was added by Hasbro themselves. This was a gimmick with the Classics line. They had rub signs. And this one actually does work. If you remember my review on Bumblebee, I just used the Goldbug figure to show the rub sign, and Goldbug didn't even want to show how his ones worked. But look, well, if this will even focus, you see, it's working. So whether you like to rub it or just hold your finger on it, it works. That's amazing. And well, that's pretty much all I have to say about the jet mode. I love how this jet mode looks. It looks amazing. I don't know, I just love the F-15. It's one of my favorite vehicles of all time when it comes to Transformers alternate modes. Now, will it get the rest of the classic Seekers? I mean, maybe. I'll probably also get Ramjet because he was also in the classics line, and I am considering collecting the rest of the classics line. But as for the others, we'll have to wait and see. I had that Thundercracker was really hard to get because he was like a convention exclusive, but Now let's get on with the transformation, So if I just readjust my phone, and hopefully it doesn't fall backwards on me, and thankfully it's not. Now, for the transformation, let's do some parts forming, and thankfully it's not in the wings this time, unlike the G1 figure. The only bit you have to remove is the missile launchers, which, well, with Transformers figures, it's common to remove the missile launchers. And, well, if you know this figure, you know how this transforms, but I'm still going to show it on camera anyway, because it's fun. So first of all, take these little landing gear bits and fold them into what would be the little rocket breasts on Starscream normally. Take the wings and fold them forward. Be careful because I've heard stories on the Universe version of the figure that they can pop off and not go back on, they can break. I don't know if that's the case with the Classics version, but still, be careful. With the tail fins, fold them up. Fold them, well not fold them, but rotate them like so. And move the feet down like with the original G1 figure. And then pull the legs out. With the Earthrise figure, you actually have to, it's not pull the feet out, well, it's not pull the legs out, it's like, it's similar to how the Combiner Wars jet figures work, if I can remember correctly. I'm probably wrong, but Open this entire section up, fold these bits out, these are going to be the arms, and this is the cool bit. Take the entire nose cone section, rotate it, and move that down into place, like so. Let's come in here and try and get the fists out. This can be easier said than done for me at times. Okay, there we go. Split the legs, and take the actual nose cone section, move that down, and that reveals his head. And here we have Starscream in his robot mode. And this is a cool looking robot. Not just because it's Starscream, but the colors make it work, especially with the wings. I mean, if we have a look at the back, I mean, the only bit of, like, kibble is this section. That's my only complaint, is this section here. But other than that, there's no kibble aside from that. But yeah. So the wings have that extra bit of red, so maybe he could work for Tord if Transformers and Edgeworlds were a shared universe. I mean, they are technically both traitors, so it could work. But okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just have a look at the head. That definitely looks like Starscream's head. Sadly, there is no light piping, but that's just because this bit gets in the way. In fact, you actually have to move the head by moving this section. I'll show that in the articulations bit soon, but yeah, that definitely is Starscream's head. Okay, yeah, let's just get the articulation done. So the head can of course move if you move this section. If you don't have the missile launchers on the arms, then you can move them up like so. He does have elbows, although they're on a ratchet joint. A tight one. As I was showing, trying to get his fists out, he can T-pose, so he can assert dominance on the other Seekers. There's no waist articulation, which seems to be a theme with Starscream figures. I'm talking to you, Masterpiece Starscream. Every single Masterpiece Starscream from Takara. Yeah, but there's no waist articulation. Got some leg articulation. Can't move back that far though. The knees sadly can't really go that much, as you can see. Although it can swivel. Feet can move. And of course, splits. So he can do this, which is awesome. And he can actually both do the splits and T-pose without me supporting him. But, well, let's just say I decide to give Starscream his no raise, aka the missile launchers from earlier. There we go. It makes him look more complete, because you know how Starscream always has his no raise, but if I try to move his arms, then it pushes the wings out the way, so these actually sort of hinder the articulation, unfortunately. It's crappy, sure, but I normally display my figures standing normally like this anyway, so it sucks, but it's not a deal breaker. Unless you display your figures in really awesome poses, like how I do in my reviews thumbnails. But, I'll find a way to pose this guy. But well, that's pretty much all I have to say about this guy. So, complaints? I mean, this, obviously. I wish they'd find a way to hide this, or maybe... Sure, it'll be parts forming, but maybe have this come off some way. Maybe have it become some kind of gun, I don't know. It'll be parts forming, sure, but... But another complaint is these can also hinder the articulation and... Yes, they actually do hinder the T-posing as well, so... If you want this figure to be posed, maybe just have him holding the guns like this. Oh, if I can actually do it. There we go. If you want your Starscream to pose while holding his weapons, maybe don't have them as no rays, but instead have them as handheld weapons. It may be blasphemy for him to hold his no rays like actual cannons instead of them being on his arms, but this is the only way he'll be able to have his weapons and actually pose at the same time. But yeah, that's my main complaint. If you have these on his arms as actual no rays, then they actually do hinder his articulation. They hinder his arm articulation. But other than those two gripes, do I recommend them? Well, of course I do. Despite that armor thing, if you don't have him with the weapons on his arms, this guy is really cool looking, especially if he's like posing. Well, if he doesn't have these on his arms, but well, I keep complaining about that, so I'm just gonna stop. So, but as I said, I do recommend this guy. Even with Earthrise Starscream, he's pretty much overthrown this guy. That's a Voyager. This is a deluxe. If you want a deluxe class Starscream, then you can still go for this guy. Not to mention, this guy's been recolored and retooled to death. I mean, you got Starscream, Universe Starscream, you got Skywarp, Thundercracker, the Coneheads, Acid Storm, Sunstorm. Hell, you've even got obscure characters like Nacelle. And that's a Collectors Club figure. So, if you want any version of this mold, it's really easy to find. Well, some versions of this mold at least. But I definitely do recommend any version of this figure. Because even today, this is still a really cool looking figure. So, I still recommend them even today. Well, this has been my review on Classic Starscream. And this is Charlie Young, signing off.